Okay, so what do you think about the whole Wonder Woman Batman romance?
It's BS. It makes no sense.
Really?
It makes sense.
I mean, I personally like Selena Kyle and Batman together better.
Yes.
But I think that Wonder Woman would make a good option if, Selena Kyle was running around a little busy and, unaware. I don't know.
I mean, even the comic books, I'm just like, I never quite understood what Diana's fascination with Bruce was. It made more sense for her to be with Superman, which is why I kind of like what they're doing with the new 52, but with Batman's the kind of person who's, let's be honest, he's a bit of an asshole at times. So, it's
a little bit.
It's like
That's kind of his charm.
Batman's an asshole. They go 2 and 2 together. Wonder Woman and Diana, she's kind of like,
yeah,
not really she's not a tomboy, but she's like, she kind of acts like a female, but like when she fights, she's
an Amazon.
Like full blown killer mode.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this much: I'm telling you right now, if they put Batman and Wonder Woman together in Batman vs Superman, I'm walking out.
Oh my god!
Walking out of the theater, I'm saying nope. I do not want that. Not in this cinematic universe.
Yes. Okay.
I still think there needs to be a Wonder Woman movie, at least a movie of Wonder Woman.
Confirmed it, but apparently it's gonna. They're doing this after Batman vs Superman, and apparently it's gonna take place like during World War II or World War I, something like that. That's what I've heard.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't like who they cast as Wonder Woman. Like, she's too scrawny. Like, Wonder Woman's supposed to be a big chick. Like, she's supposed to be a bodybuilder-looking woman, Like, she's a freaking Amazon. Like, yeah, I don't know.
It's like I'd like a Wonder Woman that I don't think I could kick her ass. Like, when I look at Wonder Woman, I want to look at her and be like, yeah, I'm going to lose this fight.
Yes. So, the reason why we're segueing to Batman is because Batman Arkham Knight is coming out this year. Has the date been confirmed? Oh, yeah, it's June 2nd.
Yeah.
And I'm super excited about this. I'm a huge Batman fan. Me and Brian are kind of going on our comic book rant here. I don't know if we lost Hark, but,
No, we're good.
That's like, that's, me and Brian getting into bro mode about
I'm
Batman.
The biggest Batman fan. I not only got Arkham Origins Collection Edition a day earlier, I have all of the collection editions. I went to the midnight release for Arkham Asylum. I got 2 copies of that. I played Joker when it was first on PlayStation 3 exclusive, not Xbox. Heck, my wall here is nothing but Batman. I got Batman Begins, Batman Forever, Batman Returns. Unfortunately, Batman and Robin, because I have to have the collection.
Batman.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, this is why we're friends. Like for real.
Right here.
No, but seriously, anyways, okay, not that, I just want to say, the Batman and Robin is the most hilarious drinking game I have ever played. I just want to say.
Yes.
One time in college, I'm not condoning stupidity, but one time when I was in college, we drank every time there was a bad pun, or anytime there was a butt, crotch, or nipple shot. And that alone, first 15 minutes.
I'm really interested on who this Arkham Knight is, because a lot of us thought it might have been Jason Todd, but they just confirmed that there's a DLC that lets you play as Red Hood. So you can play as Harley Quinn and Red Hood, and I'm sure they're going to throw in Robin and Nightwing. So I'm real curious who this Arkham Knight is going to be.
Yeah.
It could be Terry.
No.
You don't think so?
Old Bruce. Terry wasn't born yet.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
See, I know stuff. I do know stuff in the universe.
Yes, exactly.
I just think. Great.
I believe the main villain of this game is going to be Scarecrow, from what I've seen of the trailers. And I love that, because personally, Scarecrow is probably my second favorite villain next to Joker. The Scarecrow is interesting because he brings out things in Bruce. Like, he makes him think about his past. He brings out his fears. And my favorite parts of Arkham Asylum and Arkham City are the parts where the Batman is under the influence of Scarecrow's toxin. Like, that's probably one of my favorite missions in the game, because the gameplay is a lot different, and I'm hoping that they're going to have a lot of those type of kind of boss fights within the game, because I really liked those boss fights. So,
yeah.
So what do you guys think? Have you played Arkham City or Arkham Asylum?
I started playing through the very first game, and I think I managed to get about a quarter away through the game, and then like life happened, and I unfortunately never got back to it. I enjoyed it while I was playing it. I enjoyed it, but then I got distracted by other things, and people had actually been asking me if I would let's play it on my channel, and I would love to, but as of right now, there's other games that are higher priority for me at this moment, including the Uncharted series, which I'll get into when we get into talking about that one. But we'll talk about that one more later. So, I'm a big Batman fan. I do like Batman a lot, and it would be a game that I can see myself enjoying. I just haven't gotten to it. So.
Yeah. Do you have any other words to say, Brian, about...
I think this is just sad. This is going to be the end of an era. This is going to be the last Batman Arkham game. After this, we're going to move on to something else. But
yeah.
I'd like to see Rocksteady take on a Superman game. That we haven't had
exactly.
a good Superman
game. We haven't had one.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I played the NES game way back when, and that's definitely could use a facelift.
Exactly. So. I'm glad, and I hope that they do really end it, because I think they need to give it a break. I don't want it to get milked, and I really hope that they use this as an opportunity to make more or different superhero games. Hopefully some more DC games. So that would be really cool.
I mean, I think it's just like with the movies, because ever since I believe they came out with the original Christopher Nolan Batman, that's when all of these other superhero movies started coming out, and not like the more serious, like darker, less campy, because the 90s was more of the more campier superhero movies, and then during, I guess, the 2000s, the turn of the century, they tried to give it a little bit of spin, and it all started with Batman. So it would make a lot of sense if this Batman series, was also the one who kind of led the other superhero games of that, with that same feel, with that same, I guess, genre.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't like how a lot of the other superhero games have just tried to like plain out copy and paste it and give it as their own. Because if you got a chance to play the Captain America game, it's exactly like Arkham, except you're playing as Captain America. And then same goes with Spider-Man. Like, the gameplay is like, you can see so much of Batman in these other superhero games, and I'm not sure if that's a good or a bad thing, but I kind of would like to see these other superhero games kind of step away from wanting to feel like Batman and focused on creating its own unique.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean, the formula works, but it's been copied way too much. Games like Shadow of Mordor, love the gameplay. I did just make a complaint video about the graphics, because I was really disappointed about that. But I'm going to be playing it again on the PS4. But definitely the gameplay was a combination of like Assassin's Creed and Batman. So
this year, the 2015, like my main prediction of 2015, it seems like the ongoing theme is this is the year of sequels, because we're getting a lot of sequels of very popular existing franchises, Tomb Raider and Batman and not Borderlands. Well, there was Borderlands back in the year, but it just seems like there's a Witcher, like you said, and a
lot of these are kind of the final episodes. Like, I forgot to mention that The Witcher 3 is going to be the last game with Geralt. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping that means that Ciri will be, like, a new playable character or something in the future games, but this is going to be the end of Geralt's story, so...
Uncharted as well, isn't Uncharted supposed to be...
Uncharted is going to be the end.
Yeah, so that seems to be the ongoing theme of this year.
Yeah. Good observation. Jenny, want to throw out another game?
Sure. So mine kind of breaks off a little bit from a lot of the games that we've been talking about, and games that I tend to play in my channel, because it's not an RPG, it's not a heavily story-based game, but it's a nostalgic game, Mighty Number 9, because I was, and still am, a huge Mega Man fan. And this is supposed to be the spiritual, the spiritual, what's it called? Successor to Mega Man, because...
Are we going to do a bro fist with our...
Yeah!
I
don't have one of them, unfortunately.
Yeah, but, we're twinsies. Right? Yeah.
I love those. That's awesome. I wish I had one of those. I love those. But Mega Man has definitely been one of my favorite characters from my childhood, playing from the regular NES and Super Nintendo with Mega Man X, and a lot of people were upset when Mega Man Legends. Mega Man fans everywhere were hyping up this new game that was coming out by Capcom called Mega Man Legends, which ended up, I think, getting canceled. And the creator of Mega Man, I forgot the gentleman's name, but the creator of Mega Man left Capcom. And I don't know, how much, I don't know what the full story is on that, but people got really disappointed, and when the creator of Mega Man left Capcom, people were like, oh man, we're never going to have a Mega Man game ever again, this is horrible. But the same creator who made Mega Man turned around and was like, okay, we're going to make this new game now, which is a spiritual successor of Mega Man, called Mighty Number 9, and because of that, I am super excited to try it out and see how it compares to the original Mega Man series, because I guess there was just legal issues with him calling it another Mega Man game, and that's why it's Mighty Number 9 instead. It looks like it's the same premise. It looks like you're playing this character who is also a robot, and you're fighting 8 other boss robots, and I think the same idea where you get to take their abilities. And I think Mighty Number 9, because he's the 9th robot, I think that was the reason. That's where his name came from, because you've got the 8 boss robots, and then you have Number 9 coming on. I think that's where his name comes from. But
it's interesting.
Yep.
You have anything to say, Brian?
No, it's just I might want to look into that, because I always like to go back and play old NES games or old side scrollers, because I've always found that the games back then when we were much younger were a lot harder, because you actually had to get better at them to progress, as opposed to games now as they are made to be beaten, which is why you won't find too many extremely hard games that have stories nowadays. Unless you put on a high difficulty.
Yeah. I remember watching the Kids React or Teens React videos, and they had the teens playing Mega Man games, the original Mega Man games, and it was just interesting how people were. It was so hard for them to just get through the first level, because you forget how difficult games were back then. I think because us growing up, we took it for granted. We didn't have the auto saves. We actually had limited lives. When was the last time you played a game where you had limited lives? That wasn't a multiplayer, game.
The last time I played a game that actually kind of made me nostalgic was this War of Mine, because once you die in that game, you get maybe 3 characters, and once they die, they're dead.
They're gone.
And it kind of reminded me of a less hard version of the old Resident Evil games, where it's if you're dead, you're dead, but you have other characters that you can play as, and if they die, then the game's over. But the
game's over.
But it's rare, that a game is really difficult these days, and not only that, but it's difficult for justifiable reasons, because if a game has limitations for unjustifiable reasons, you just get frustrated and not in a good way. You know, like, right. I had a lot of problems with The Evil Within, like, how you couldn't run. I thought that was unjustifiable. Like, I thought, you know, a cop should be a little bit more physically fit. Like, I can't run, but I can, if I was running for my life, I'm pretty sure I'd be able to jog for more than 3 seconds. So
your adrenaline kicks in. So
yes, and I thought that was just.
I know you didn't get this far, but there's actually a section near the final boss, but he is literally running as fast as he can for at least a minute and a half. I was like, wait a minute.
Yes.
Where did he get all?
And he does it in the cutscenes too. He does it in the cutscenes, but he doesn't do it when you're playing. So it's like, what? You know, that's just dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have another game, Kathleen?
How about you go, Brian? Do you want to?
Or Brian?
Yeah, okay. All right. I got my most anticipated game of the year and the end of an experience for me, and that is Final Fantasy 15.
Yes.
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 That is my Final Fantasy game. I'm walking away from the franchise after, I want to say, 14 years.
Wow, okay.
I want to end my career before I have another travesty and want to seriously quit gaming.
Yeah. Okay, so explain that. It's because you hate Final Fantasy 13, right?
It wasn't that I hated 13. It was that it...
I mean, you're not alone. Like, a lot of people hated it.
I knew it was bad, and my friend tricked me into giving it a try, and it was just... The longer you played it, the more I hated it, and I was just trying to find something about it that was working, and I got to one section that did something in a Final Fantasy game that you never do. You're never supposed to do this, and I did it anyway, and when that happened, after 70 hours, I deleted the file.
Wow.
I tapped the disc.
Wow.
I didn't play a
Rage quit.
Game for 3 months, and I played probably one of the next game I eventually did come back and play was... I'll tell you what it is, because you guys aren't going to believe me, but this is true. Because it's even on my profile. The first game I played after playing Final Fantasy 13 was Hannah Montana, and I will play that over 13. I thought that was better. I am not lying. I'm not saying that just to make a statement.
How far Miley Cyrus has come.
Hannah Montana, then 13. And they released 3 games after it.
Yes. Then they made more of them. They made more Final Fantasy.
It's like after all of the bad reviews, they decided to make another 2. Yeah.
They made 2 more.
Didn't we?
Okay, so. Yeah, I had a lot of problems with 13. I wouldn't say I hated it, but I had a lot of problems with it. My favorite Final Fantasy game is Final Fantasy X because I feel like everyone has their favorite. You know, a lot of people are going to say that 7's their favorite, but the reason why 10's my favorite is because I think 8 was the first one I played, and then I played 10, and I think 10 is so special to me because I was really young when I played it, and it was one of the first games that really got me into spending way too much time playing games.
Yeah.
And the story is so incredible. And I feel like they have not been able to live up to that level of story development.
Yes.
I agree. Yeah. Final Fantasy. For me, my favorite of all the Final Fantasies is actually 6. Final Fantasy 6. I love that one.
Second favorite. If I could list them, it would be Final Fantasy X, then Final Fantasy 6, and then 7. Even though 7 is probably the most important game I've ever played because that made me a story-driven gamer. So if it wasn't for 7, then I wouldn't be playing the type of games that I'd be playing now. I'd probably be a Call of Duty gamer right now.
Yeah.
6 for me.
I could see you liking 6, Hark. I feel like that's your kind of game.
6 for me was the one that really introduced me to the hardcore RPGs because I played Secret of Mana, love Secret of Mana, and that's sort of a role-playing game, but it's not. The JRPGs, I guess, in general, was what really introduced me to role-playing, and I guess for me, my top 3 Final Fantasies are 6, then 7, then 10. Those 3 are solid for me. And I don't know, 6 I just thought had an incredible story, and you didn't have to have the fancy graphics, like the fancy even PlayStation 1 graphics to tell an awesome story. And what I was most impressed about is, of all of the Final Fantasies ever, 6 had the most main playable characters in it. There was 14 characters you could play, and they developed the way that they were able to develop all of those characters, not only individually, but the relationships between those characters, more than some of the most recent characters of the most recent Final Fantasy games were less developed than the ways that the characters developed in 6. So that's one of the reasons why I give it so much credit, especially back then, and it still holds its own, in my opinion, to this day.
I think that just proves that when it comes to Final Fantasy, if you ask, everyone has different ones. Not everyone, but most people have different reasons why they like certain ones over others.
Right.
But usually, the main reason is story. Mm-hmm. Story is the biggest thing. And, the interesting thing is Final Fantasy 15, it used to be called Versus. And it's been... They announced this game when I was, I think, in high school. Yeah. This has really been in development a long time.
Yeah.
And so I'm concerned, but also, I think it's really promising because they have a unique story that's kind of based on modern day Japan, but also has sci-fi elements.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I think there's going to be, a torn... tragic romance in it, and I hope that they do go for that, because I actually cosplayed, maybe I'll put a little picture, but I cosplayed as Stella, the female character, when it was still called Versus. When it was still called Versus, I cosplayed as her. I just feel like the story sounds really interesting, and even if I hope that they change the gameplay from 13, but even if they don't and they have a good story, I'll just go with it.
It looks like it's gonna play a lot like Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
But with
more real time.
Which is the main reason I'm actually I've pre-ordered Final Fantasy Type 0. I want to play that demo and get a feel for it. But just from what I've seen, that's what it looks like. It looks like Kingdom Hearts, which sounds perfect for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts would actually be on my list too, but I think they have confirmed that it's not 2015 yet, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So
I heard it maybe next year, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, from what we know about Final Fantasy 15, it is a more scientifically advanced kind of fantasy version of Japan today. And it takes, there's, I guess, 2 kind of royal families that are fighting over these crystals that give them powers. And what I think is happening is that he either is friends with or falls in love with a female from the other clan or family. And it's kind of implied by the trailer, and I think, fans have kind of spinned off their own, because when you only have limited trailers for a decade, people start to make their own assumptions about the story, and I hope that those assumptions are true, because tragic romance is one thing that has made Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy VII really special. And I think that would be really cool. I mean, there's this one, the graphics look absolutely insane. Even today, even though it's aged, the graphics still look incredible. And there's this one scene in one of the trailers where, the female character and Noctis, the main male character, meet, and there's, so much emotion in it, and they're about to fight, and you almost get the sense of, they might maybe love each other, but end up, maybe one of them has to kill each other at the end, or something like that, and that would just make for a really damn good story. I'm a huge fan of Shakespeare, and I don't care how many times Romeo and Juliet is retold. If it's done well, it's done well. So, I'm basically sensing a Romeo and Juliet with awesome Japan sci-fi elements in it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I can't. If it really comes out to something like that, then I can't think of a better way to end my Final Fantasy experience than to have a game like that and just love it. beginning to end.
So what are your kind of like predictions? Like, what do you think it's going to be any different than I imagine it? Because this is the thing, like, you can only kind of form your own conclusions after like a decade of trailers. So, and some of these trailers haven't even been translated into English yet.
Yeah.
So,
I think they released one that had English voiceovers, though. I think there was one recently.
Yeah, but I know that, like, I remember seeing some trailers and I was like, when are they going to release the English version? Hopefully they have now. I'll need to check that out.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty optimistic. I mean, I've been watching a bunch of their trailers, and I've been watching them, following whatever information has been available, and I definitely feel better going into 15 than I did when I was learning about 13 for some reason. I just have a better feeling for it. So whether or not my feeling ends up being true or not, we'll see. But yeah.
Yeah. I knew there was something else I was going to say, but I lost my thought. Dang it.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Okay, you say something, Brian, and it'll come back to me.
Okay. Well, story-wise, I mean, I like how it's going to be hopefully a true open world experience and not be like 13 where once you go to one area you can't go back. I mean, you could go back to 10. You could go like that's the one thing that 13 was missing. You couldn't explore. I mean, as much as I kind of was a little bit turned off from 12, it was still pretty open world, and you could go back to places and visit them. I mean, exploration is one of the most important elements of an RPG, and when you take that away, then what are you left with? You're left with basically just a scroller.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to disagree. Like, I think that story is definitely the most important in RPG, because for me, I didn't like games like... I did not like Skyrim all that much. A lot of people wanted me to play Skyrim, and Skyrim was completely exploration, and I got very bored of it really quickly because the story wasn't enough. The exploration wasn't enough to keep me interested, and the story definitely wasn't enough to keep me interested. So I tend to shy away from open world games personally, open world RPG games, because the stories don't tend to be rich. However, after playing Dragon Age Inquisition, they merged the two perfectly, in my opinion. And I was like, okay, see, this is exploration in RPG done properly, in my opinion, because they still had the story elements. It wasn't completely open world where I had to spend however many minutes to travel from one location to another, because they were still individual maps. It's just each map was just massive, and I'm assuming that's probably what they're going to do with Final Fantasy. And if they execute it similarly to Inquisition, I would probably end up loving it. So.
Yeah,
exactly.
My thought just came back to me. One thing that I've been trying to figure out what I want to do with this game is if I want to play the Japanese version or the English version of this game, because I may, hopefully, if I get the job that I want, I'll be in Asia by the time this comes out. And, you know, the Japanese version may be easier for me to get. And I know people that don't speak Japanese that play this game because they prefer the Japanese version. Are you one of those people?
No, I want to learn Japanese.
Oh, okay.
I want to go to Japan. So,
yeah. I know there's people that don't know Japanese, but they play the Japanese version. I don't know how. But the thing is, I have such a hard time, like... I've lost a lot of Japanese I've learned. I need to, like, regain it. But, like, also reading is so freaking hard in that language. So, but I want to hear it in Japanese. Like, it sounds better in Japanese, I think. Like, the voice actors, everything. And I feel like this game, especially because it's so much about Japan, and because it's supposed to take place in a modern Japan, I feel like I'm going to be missing out if I play it in English.
Maybe you can have the audio be Japanese, but there might be English subtitles. Maybe they'll do that. I think I've seen some games doing that.
Yeah. So maybe I'll look into that. But you know, that's one thing I've been trying to figure out. And like, if I travel to, like, how I'm going to bring my consoles and everything. That's one thing I'm like, oh my god, how I'm gonna do that? Like, how I'm gonna ship stuff to myself and, you know, all that confusing stuff. But, you know, I think it would be really cool to play that game in Japanese. So, for the same reason why I prefer to watch Attack on Titan in Japanese, because...
Wait for the next season to come out.
Yes. I know.
I keep hearing about Attack on Titan. People have been wanting me to react to it. To, like, watch
Oh my god. Hark. Like, I am not that into anime. Like, I'm starting to get back into it. But Attack on Titan, like, my old roommate sat me down and was like, you're watching this, and made me watch it. And I am obsessed with it. And I got my dad to watch it, and he's obsessed with it. And he bought me this for Christmas. Like, I've made him an Attack on Titan fan. So
that's cool. Awesome.
If you don't even like anime, then you would like Attack on Titan.
Okay.
That's the first 3 episodes. You're gonna be hooked.
Yes.
Alright.
It's hands down like one of the best shows I've ever seen, and it's on Netflix.
Awesome. It's on Netflix? Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, all right. Well, I'll have to see what I can do then, because people have been asking, so we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. The next game I want to talk about is Rise of the Tomb Raider. Now, this I'm really excited about. I played the latest Tomb Raider game, loved it, but it is an Xbox timed exclusive.